The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, show number 274 on this February 2nd, 2023, otherwise known as fucking Groundhog Day. That's the way it seems around here at 1420 World Headquarters. We're joined tonight by Brad Dersch, longtime listener, but more importantly, longtime friend of me and Dave's. Bradley, how you doing tonight?
Wonderful. I'm real happy to be back on the show. Thanks for having me there, Brent.
Dave, you just got done with the guys from Brutally Honest Sports. How'd that go?
It was great. Actually, JD got called away, so it was just Aaron and I. Quick hitter. He was very gracious, didn't make me eat too much crow. And then we just touched upon the game, had a good quick little visit, couple laughs, and then I said, fuck, I gotta go, bud. I got my show. I gotta put food on the table.
Here we go. Before we get rolling here, I got two things. Today being Groundhog Day on February the 2nd, does anybody actually know how this works? Because there's 19 different of these groundhogs that go across the country. You start out in Puxatawny, Phil, and then it goes to Wyatt and Willie, and ends up way over here with what's the guy out in where that mall is in Calgary? What's that guy's name? It don't matter. Balzac Billy. So it goes all the way across the country. Does anybody actually know how this whole thing works and why we've been lying to kids to all these years about this Groundhog Day bullshit?
Well, if anybody knows, it's going to be Dave. But before we go there, when I saw the picture today, I actually can't believe that these idiots get in their little outfits.
It's unbelievable.
It feels like you're watching the Nathan's hot dog eating contest with the outfits they wear.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous, and I just don't get it at all. I don't get this holiday. It's not a holiday. I don't get it at all. And then so my understanding,
because the one in Quebec died or something early this morning.
Today, they went to wake the fucker up.
The one day a groundhog actually has to show his stuff. The groundhog dies on that day, so they held a kid up like the Lion King or something.
And then what do they do? They like fucking shock him again. Shock him again.
Can't they just find a replacement?
I don't know.
Who's going to know the difference?
So, but it was the morning. Like he died in his sleep on the night of February 1st.
It's like Santa Claus dying on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, but they're not an endangered species. I'm sure there might
get another one. No one knows the
difference.
But
all the TV cameras were there, right? Like
find another one. Have a backup. No one's going to know.
No, but they're not laying around in the middle of winter. Like you can't find a gopher here.
You got to plan ahead.
There's have to be a zoo ahead. Somewhere.
Well, yeah, but no, it's like okay, just let him sleep. He knows the drill. We'll just shock him, and then he'll come up and look all bright-eyed. But I don't know, so if they see the shadow, it's 6 more weeks of winter, correct?
Because they go back inside, correct?
Yeah. They go, they see it. I don't know. So is 6 weeks of winter good or bad?
Well, where we are lately, it's been bad because usually by 1st of March, we're hitting golf balls and everything else.
Right. So we don't want them to see the shadow. And it's always overcast anyways. So I don't get it. I think it's ridiculous.
And who believes that shit anyways?
I don't know. Like there's these they grandstand these people out there, and they have their, like you said, Dersh, they have their costumes on the whole bit, and there's the TV cameras and the whole. Like I don't get it. Like to me, I know spring's close when Pebble Beach is on, which is this weekend. I know spring is close, and then when spring's closer, I look at the temperature. Oh, I'm gonna wear shorts now, or I don't gotta wear a jacket. That's how I know that winter's gone. I don't need a fucking rodent telling me anything.
Brad, you say who believes this shit anyways? We got a flat Earth society. We got anti-vaxxers all over the
no, let's not go there.
Well, we can't go there.
Too early in the show for that. Jesus.
Is science or astrology? Like, let's let people decide what they're going to believe, and they can be wrong.
Okay, yeah. And the second thing I got, speaking of people being wrong, is this morning I read on the ticker on Global News that Nestle's getting rid of Delissio pizzas. My heart almost sunk. Like first they got rid 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was, they got rid of Zantac, and then look what happened: COVID. Seriously, COVID went missing, gone, and then or Zantac missing, bang. Now they're getting rid of Delicios. Mark my words, something's going to happen come around May. Mark my words. Delicio's a staple. A staple. In,
And
out, good.
We have some close friends that we should maybe be worried about. No, like how are they going to survive?
I don't know.
I've never had a Delicio pizza in my life.
They're pretty good.
They're good, man.
I've never had
really good.
Pizza. You know, I got Domino's on the way home. Boy and I get a large pizza for $10, and then
Delicio's way better for cheaper. Way better. It ain't close.
Well, I'll take your word for it. I'm gonna have to take your word for it because it's gonna be no more. Or this is it, 2023, so you can stock up.
I think there's a month or so, I don't know what's going on.
I know people. I'll get you a freezer. Then let's buy all that Delicio for you.
Like, I love a Delicio, man. That's some good pizza. It just fucking fills you right up. 24
is that the
minutes.
rising crust one?
Oh yeah, 24 minutes, man. Soft crust, fantastic. Anyways, boys, the Connor Bedard show comes to Leopards tomorrow night. So something I want to get into, but like this kid, from all accounts, he's supposed to be the next coming of who knows, because I mean he's still a kid and everything else. So these prodigies and everything else been toted about over the years that some make it, some don't. This Bedard kid seems to be the real deal. He's got 1,000 points apparently and everything else. He's a hell of a player, can shoot the puck like no one's business. They put 17,000 plus in the Saddle Dome in Calgary last night to watch them play the Hitmen. He got a goal and assist and scored the shootout winner. Seems like a nice kid. Seems to be brought up pretty well the whole bit. I have a bit of issue with with teams tanking for kids like this, because you're hoping for a kid that you don't know how he's going to be to save your franchise. And that's a lot of pressure on a kid who's 19 years old to go, or 18 years old to go to a team that's really bad. And you look at these prodigies like LeBron James, if we want to compare him to that, or you look at Sidney Crosby, more of a hockey thing, or baseball. It's hard to compare these kids, but these prodigy kids, man, what kind of pressure is that like, Brad? What do you think?
Well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack in that statement, Brent. Like, I think first of all, none of us will ever understand the pressure of something like that. I couldn't imagine even just playing in front of 19,000 people, 17,000, whatever it ended up being in the Saddle Dome last night. I think it's super cool for hockey. I think it's super cool for junior hockey. He's selling out barns everywhere he goes. So I have no concept of what he's going through. As far as tanking, I don't know. I struggle with that. I mean, it's, are they trading away guys to give themselves a better shot? I think the lottery plays into that for sure. To take away that, although Bettman was, according to Bissonnette, of course, he was quoted as saying, what did he say? That he's going to Arizona, right? Might as well start looking for a place in Arizona. I don't know, Brent. That's a big question.
Like the thing that Bettman said, he said that players and coaches don't tank, and he used lawyer speak there because he's right. Players don't tank because players need a new contract and they're going to go out and play their hardest. Players and coaches don't tank. General managers, presidents, and owners tank, and that's factual. Players don't tank. They go out there and play hard every shift. Dave?
No, I agree with that. Like you said, I believe the players on the ice. Unless, you get those occasions where players have given up on the coach and they're just mailing it in. But as a group that comes to work every day, being the coaching staff, being the players, they're there to earn a buck, and they're earning their paycheck. And specifically, could you imagine being a 28-year-old guy on a free agent deal on a shit team that's going to tank? Like, fuck, I need a contract next year too, boys. I'm going to show my grit. I'm going to lead from the front. I'm going to do what I can. And, that's a shitty situation for that person. As far as Bedard goes, this kid is obviously, he's under, I'm not going to say pressure, but he's living with a heightened level of expectation. He knows, he knows obviously that he's the biggest road draw in the WHL in its absolute history. It's a sellout every time. He doesn't know what it's like to play to a half a bar. Like Calgary, they had 18 grand in the Saddle Dome for a WHL game yesterday against the Regina Pats, who I haven't checked the standings,
mid-range team. They might not be a playoff team in the Eastern Division. Yeah, Eastern Conference.
But they're not going to make a run at the Memorial Cup for sure. No,
No,
for sure, no. But he's playing to a sellout crowd every single night. He knows what that's like.
But back to your original question. Sorry to cut you off. I think like Skinner, the phenoms are wired differently because they didn't become phenoms overnight. Like they've had the fanfare since they were started playing any sort of elite sport, whether it's
10, 11 years
James
old.
or right. Like, so it's not new, and so I'm sure there's training that goes along with it. There's it's been a gradual process. It's just gotten bigger and bigger as he's gone on.
Well, nowadays, like when these kids are touted to be superstars, I remember like years, like, and this still to this day, you can't get a soundbite out of Sidney Crosby because for years before he was even in the National Hockey League or even in junior, he had they have coaches who'd say this, do this, do that, and then you just keep yourself out of the limelight, and that's kind of a thing that's a little bit wrong with hockey. Is that most of these guys are so robotic, you can't get anything. They all dress the same. They dress they all do the same thing, and so hockey's kind of on the downslide. We'll talk about that in a second too, but like this Bedard kid, like it's just the Bedard man, like you said, Dave. He's the biggest draw in the National Hockey League, like the biggest stars in the Western Hockey League. Sorry, like the other phenoms that we've had in junior hockey over the last 20 years. One was Connor McDavid in Ontario, and the other was Sidney Crosby in the Quebec League. This kid in the Western League, we haven't seen this out here. And I'm a Western Hockey League aficionado from years ago, and I can't remember a kid that had this kind of hype.
Yeah, but well deserved, no? I mean, he just seems to be doing more and more, and he gets
night
better
in, night
and
out.
better.
Like he's not failing anybody. Like it's just like, I don't think he's had a game this season where he hasn't had a point.
And he's been just electrifying since the World Juniors. He's actually stepped it up a level too.
It's crazy, Dave.
It is, and it makes you wonder, like being a 17-year-old kid going into every place, like knowing that you're there for people to see you, right? It ain't a secret, right? You can be as humble as you want, your drill, but between, no matter how humble you are, no matter how dedicated you are to the game, no matter how hard you want to work, 90% of this barn is here to see me tonight, and I'm not going to disappoint. And I don't know, it's part hockey player, part rock star. They're here to see me, and I'm not going to let them down.
Like, I hope I'm wrong on this, but like it's good banter. What happens if he turns out to be Alexander Daig, right? Like, I mean, it's still. I'm just saying, like, there's still a chance that he's a kid, and all of a sudden he's shooting on Western Hockey League goaltenders. I know you can only play who you're against, and it's not who you can't project. But what happens if that all these teams are tanking and on and on and on, and this kid, because he's not a big guy, but the league's different now than it was 20, 30 years ago or 10 years ago. Like he's probably not going to grow a whole bunch more. What happens if this is it? And then you go, oh, that sucked.
I don't know is there an answer for that, Dave? Like,
no, I don't think so. It's just like you got to roll the dice. You can only buy the car on the lot, and hopefully it's not a lemon. And all you can do is look at the consumer reports and buyer reports, and you kick the tires, open the hood. Yeah, let's bring her home. And like, why wouldn't you bring it home? Like because you got your bum hip is twitching. Like, I don't know. Maybe we should take Joey Johnson from out of Wichita State as a D-man.
No,
right? You're gonna pick him.
Yeah, you have to. Like, there's no way you couldn't. But like sometimes, like when teams are that bad, you would you not? I mean, talent, you got to pick the best available player, obviously. But when some teams are that bad, and yeah, we have guys who can score goals, but we need a defenseman. Like, do we need? I don't know. I just find it like he's going to be the lock number one pick, guaranteed. I like no, like back. LeBron James was the best, right? You were taking him no matter what, and you can compare him to Bedard. But sometimes just drafting the best available player doesn't always work out, because if you're bad, you got no one on your team. You know, like there's sometimes you need to draft out of necessity to make your team better. No.
Yeah,
Well,
but at
what
the
if?
same but at the
Go
same
ahead,
time,
Brent.
Skinner, I was just going to say, I think you hit the nail on the head as far as the league is different now. So if anybody, he's got as good a shot as anybody in the history of the game to come in, and do exceptional things. And speaking of which, he is the only exceptional status player in WHL history. There's been a lot of good players. The
Yeah.
East likes to do that a little bit more in the Ontario League than they do in the WHL. It's known as a rough and tumble league. It's got a reputation for that. And he, again, day in, day out, since he was the age of 15, he's gone out there and proven himself. So the fact that skilled players have more room and ability to do their thing on the ice nowadays than 10, 20, 30 years ago, I think bodes in his favor for sure. But yeah, I wouldn't bet against him.
You know how hard, like and he's delivering right now, right? He's delivering. I don't know how much pressure it is to play for a non-playoff team to packed houses who are there to see you, and maybe this game is just so easy for him against this competition. I don't know. Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself, but you're still going to take him first. Like all the questions are like, we'll deal with that shit later. This kid clearly is something special, and we must have him.